Mr. A back with story time for another day, and we're going to carry on with the amazing story of Adolphus Tips. Friday, September 17th, 1943. I saw a fox this morning running across South Field with a hen in his mouth. When I shouted at him, he stopped and looked at me for a moment as if he was telling me to mind my own business. Then he just trotted off, cool as you like, without a care in the world. Mum says it wasn't one of her hens, but she was someone's hen, wasn't she? Someone should tell that fox about rationing. That's what I think. There's lots of daddy longlegs crawling up my window, and a butterfly. I'll just let them out. It's still light outside. I love light evenings. It was a red admiral butterfly. Beautiful. Supreme. Mum and grandfather are having an argument downstairs. I can hear them. Grandfather is going on about the American soldiers again. Oh, Yanks, he calls them. He says they're all over the place, hundreds of them, walking about as if they own the place, smoking cigars and chewing gum. Like an invasion, he says. Mum speaks more quietly than grandfather, so it's difficult to hear what she's saying. They've stopped arguing now. They've got the radio on instead. I don't know why they bother. The news of the war is always bad, and it only makes them feel miserable. It's hardly ever off, that radio. Monday, September 20th, 1943. Two big surprises. One good, one bad. We were all sent home from school today. That was the good one. It was all because of Mr. Adolf Hitler, as grandfather calls him. So thanks for the holiday, Mr. Adolf Hitler. We were sitting doing arithmetic with bloomers, long division, which I can't understand no matter how hard I try, when we heard the roaring and rumbling of an aeroplane overhead, getting louder and louder, and the classroom windows started to rattle. Then there was this huge explosion, and the whole school shook. We all got down on the floor and crawled under the desks like we have to do in air raid practice, except this was very much more exciting because it was real. By the time bloomers had got us out into the playground, the German bomber was already far out over the sea. We could see the black crosses on its wings. Barry pretended he was firing an ACAT gun and tried to shoot it. Shoot it down. Most of the boys joined in, making their silly machine gun noises. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Bloomers sent us home just in case there were more bombers in the way, but we didn't go home. Instead, we all went off to see if we could find where the bomb had landed. We found it too. There was a massive hole in Mr. Berry's cornfield just outside the village. The Home Guard was there already, Uncle George in his uniform telling them all what to do. They were making sure no one fell in, I suppose. No one had been hurt, except a poor old pigeon who was probably having a good feed of corn when the bomb fell. His feathers were everywhere. Then one of the townies got all hoity-toity about it and said he'd seen much bigger holes than this back home in London. Big Ned Simmons told him just where he could go and just what he thought of him and all the snotty-nosed townies, and it all got a bit nasty after that, us against them, so I walked away. I was on my way home afterwards when I saw this jeep coming down the lane towards me. There was one soldier in it. He had an American helmet on. He screeched to a stop and said, "Hi there!" He was a black man. I've never in my life seen a black person before, only in pictures in books, so I didn't quite know what to say. I kept trying not to stare, but I couldn't help myself. He had to ask me twice if he was on the right road to Torpoint before I even managed to nod. "You know something? You got pigtails just like my little sister." Then he said, "See ya!" and off he went, splashing through the puddles. I was a bit disappointed not to get any candy. When I got home, I had my other surprise. My bad one. I told them about the bomb and about Uncle George and the Home Guard being there, and I told them about the black soldier I'd met in the lane. They didn't seem very interested in any of it. I thought that was strange, and it was strange too that neither of them seemed to want to talk to me much or even to look at me. We were all having tea in the kitchen when Tips came in. She rubbed herself against my leg and then went off, mewing under the table, under the dresser, into the pantry. But she wasn't mewing like she does when she's after food or love, or when she brings in a mouse. She was calling, and when I picked her up she felt different. Still saggy-baggy underneath, but definitely different. She wasn't full and fat anymore. I knew what they'd done at once. "We had to do it, Lily," Mum said. "It's better straight away, before she gets too fond of them. Sometimes you have to be cruel to be kind." I screamed at them, "Murderers! Murderers!" Then I brought Tips up to my room. I'm still up here with her now. I've been crying ever since. and really loudly too, so they can hear me, so they'll feel really bad as I do. Tips is lying in my lap and washing herself just like nothing's happened. She's even purring. Maybe she doesn't know yet, or maybe she does and she's forgiven us already. Now she's stopped licking herself. She's looking at me as if she knows. I don't think she has forgiven us. I don't think she'll ever forgive us. Why should she? Tuesday, October 5th, 1943. My birthday. I was born 12 years ago today at 10 o'clock in the morning. I've been calling myself 12 for a long time, and now I really am. All I want to be now is 13. And even 13 isn't old enough. I want so much to be much older than I am, but not old like grandfather, so that I walk bent, and my hands are all hard and wrinkly and veiny. I don't want to be a drippy nose or hairs growing out of my ears, but I do want the years to hurry on by until I'm about 17, so school and bloomers and long division are all over and done with, so that no one can take my kittens away and drown them. It'll be so good when I'm 17, because the war will be over by then, that's for sure. Grandfather says that we're already winning, and so it can't be long till it's finished. Then I can go up to London on the train. I've never been on a train, and I can see the shops and ride on those big red buses and go on the underground. Barry Turner's told me all about it. He says there's lights in the streets, millions of people everywhere, and cinemas and dance halls. His dad used to work in a cinema before the war, before he was killed. He told me that one day. That was the first thing he's ever told me about his dad. Which reminds me, I still haven't had a letter from my dad. I think he's still cross with me after what I said. I wish I hadn't said it. I had a dream about him the other night. I don't usually remember my dreams at all, but I remember this one, some of it anyway. He was back at home milking cows again, but he was in uniform with his tin helmet on. It was scary because when I came into the milking parlour, I spoke to him and he never looked up. I shouted, but he still never looked at me. It was like one of us wasn't there, but we were. We both were. Alright, and we'll pick up on this next time. So thanks very much for tuning in. And I'll be back again next time with another bit. So thanks very much for watching. Bye bye.